All right, welcome everyone to another version of 10 words or less, in which I ask brief questions of interesting people and request brief answers in return. Now, I always like to make clear, it's not that easy. As a matter of fact, I like to say, let's see you do it. Now, I was able to think about my questions at leisure, and if I was getting near 10, I could try to rearrange them on my screen, etc. The respondent doesn't have that luxury because I'm putting the questions to him for the first time. So please, no counting. This is not a competition, and it's an ethos. So Darin, please just do your best to be brief. I won't be counting your words, okay?
Okay.
All right. Today's participant in 10 words or less is an analyst and an advocate for foodborne illness, or he's not advocating for foodborne illness, he's advocating for food safety. And I met him a couple weeks ago at a speaking event in Salem where I believe he lives, but that's one of the first questions, so let's get to the questions. Darin, obviously I have resources to find out, but going back to my print journalism days, it's always my first question. Please spell your first and last names as you would like them to appear next to you.
My first name is Darin, D-A-R-I-N. My last name is Detwiler, D-E-T-W-I-L-E-R.
Okay. Born when and where?
May 19th, 1968 in San Francisco, California.
Was there anything notable about the experience? Was Elvis in the next bed or anything like that?
Not to my recollection. Not that I know of.
Okay. It's a throwaway question, but it's gotten some good answers sometimes. One woman was born in November 1963, and her doctor had previously attended to Jackie right after the assassination.
Oh.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. And you reside where?
Salem, Massachusetts. Known for the Salem witch trials, which are allegedly tied to foodborne illness as the potential source for the deliria assumed to be witchcraft.
I'm sorry, I missed a word there, which are allegedly tied to foodborne illness as the
source of the deliria that was perceived as witchcraft.
That's fascinating to me. I was born in that town, and I grew up in neighboring Marblehead. My mom was a tour guide for Salem for 6-7 years. I never heard that. I never heard that. That's fascinating to me. Tell me, what is your job? What do you do for a living?
I have two jobs. I am an adjunct professor at Northeastern University in Boston. I teach the regulatory affairs of food industry. I am also the senior policy coordinator for food safety at STOP Foodborne Illness, a national nonprofit organization that advocates for food safety and for it supports victims.
And supports its victims?
And their families.
Tell me.
According to the brochure.
Okay. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Actually, I've been asked this question before. I think I wanted to be two things. I wanted to be a musician and a seismologist. I guess I wanted to play music during earthquakes. Really wanted to shake, rattle, and roll.
For listeners or viewers, I'd just like to say I'm typing the Darin's responses because in addition to publishing this video, I'll later publish an edited transcript. Darin will get to see my edits, so there'll be nothing. He will approve any edits that I've made, guarding against taking anything out of context or anything like that. But for the pauses between his answers and my next question, that's what explains it. So I guess I wanted to shake, rattle, and roll. Well, very clever. Tell me. Go ahead.
I try.
I believe you succeeded in this case. Tell me, an early formative experience.
High school musician. Well, all school, elementary school, junior high school musician. Being a part of a large group of musicians with a common goal, and seeing that your part is contributing to something bigger than just you and a small group.
Tell me someone outside your family who influenced you early on.
Probably a man by the name of Gary Urick, who was a music teacher.
Before you go on, can you spell his second? Well, G-A-R-Y?
G-A-R-Y.
And?
Urick, Y-E-A-R-I-C-H.
Okay. Can you say he was a teacher?
I can't remember if it's C-H or C-K, quite honestly. I think it's an H. Y-E-R-I-C-H.
Okay. And you said he was a teacher?
Yes, he was a music teacher when I was in elementary school, junior high school, and high school. He, just one of those. You don't have too many teachers that you have over many years through many grades, and who was kind of bigger than life. The marching band, the field show band, the concert band, all that kind of stuff. That's someone who I would identify.
What was your first paying job?
When I was in high school, I played a Santa Claus at a mall. It wasn't that paying. There was not that much pay, but usually I say my first paying job was the Navy. That's my real first paycheck.
Okay, thank you. I get that, but regarding Santa Claus, tell me some wisdom that you learned while you were playing Santa that you retain today.
Never say to a kid or ask a kid something about their parents, mom or dad. Always say folks, because folks is generic to apply to adopted or grandparents or foster parents, that we go through life thinking that everyone has to fit into a cookie cutter. Kid has mom and dad, but there are many children who have different family situations.
What is your family composition today?
I have adult sons. My youngest son just started university, and I live with my girlfriend, and we have a cat.
Tell me about Riley, please.
Riley was born when I was in the Navy. I operated a nuclear reactor on a submarine. This was the late 80s, and he was born in Hawaii, and I felt guilty for being away at sea so much on the submarine, always thinking that I got out of the Navy when he was about a year old or so, and that I would be able to have a lifetime of being able to make up my absence as his father from that point on. That's way more than 10 words, though.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think on this subject we got to waive the rules. And I was thinking I would get a whole lifetime of making up for my absence, right?
Yes.
Okay. And
Justifications, that idea, like I'm making the world a better place, and then I got out of the Navy after having served 6 years, and I was going to have a lifetime to make up those absences.
And how old would he be now?
He would be 23.
And why didn't he get to be 23?
Yeah.
What happened?
I just got out of the Navy, and I was living north of Seattle, Washington. He was in daycare for a few days a week while I was trying to get a job after having to get out of the service. And he became a victim during the 1993 Jack in the Box E. coli outbreak, which took the lives of about 650 people in the western states. And, excuse me, it caused the illness of 650 people in the western states, and it killed 4 young children, one of which was my son.
You said 650, the illness of 650 people and the deaths of 4 children.
Correct. 650 ill, 4 children died. The 4 are definitive, but the 650, that's of people who reported illnesses. There's probably a lot more of the illnesses that were not actually reported.
Imagine that this next question you could take a lifetime to answer, but please do your best. A way in which this experience changed you.
You don't plan for certain things, and you try to justify being a parent who outlives a child. My entire life changed after that in terms of what it meant to have a duty or responsibility, whether it be for the legacy of a son who died too young at 16 months old, or
sorry, 16 months old, right?
He was 16 months old, and he got sick, and the time between when he got sick and died was only 1 month. And he died from hemolytic uremic syndrome, which is the worst case illness for E. coli. You know, I still have burned in my mind his last steps, his last words. You know, I remember clipping the newspaper articles and thinking that one day he'd be old enough to be able to understand what had happened to him. Had no idea he was going to pass away from this. Here was his deathbed. A deathbed is a horrible place to learn about food safety and about the responsibilities that people have within society to make sure that people are safe with food. Today I see images of him on the news or in videos from news reports, but that doesn't take away from the fact that there's still those memories of seeing his seeing his face and smelling his little boy hair and hearing his last words and holding him for the very last time. So I've spent the last 21 years trying to make sure that no one else learns about the need for food safety or just learns about foodborne pathogens. No one else learns about foodborne pathogens on their child's deathbed.
Sharing with that, I gather that this put you in the media spotlight for a while.
It did.
What's that like?
Well, at first, the media was hungry for news because they weren't getting information from the health department. The health department had their hands tied by industry. they weren't allowed to release certain information. So the media wanted to put a face on the story, and also at first they were saying that the outbreak was over, and yet again, the media had very little previous knowledge about this. People can get sick from other people. It's not just eating the product. It's coming into contact with people who ate it, might be sick, but not sick enough to really be, appear or to be sick or whatever. You and we must have experienced where you said it must be something I ate, my stomach feels off. But you can be sick with a foodborne pathogen, but as a healthy adult, we're able to take care of that. But we can pass it on to another person if we're not washing our hands properly, things of that nature, where then people who are young or elderly or have a compromised immune system are not able to handle pathogen. So trying to tell them, wait, you've got the story wrong, there are more people who are getting sick. This resulted in more coverage. This led to, I talked to the President Clinton right after he took office during the 1993 live televised town meeting with President Bill Clinton. Ended up on the Phil Donahue show. Then Riley passed away. There was media attention surrounding that. And then the work I started doing in Washington D.C. resulted in work on Good Morning America, CNN, doing work for the New York Times. I later decided to get into journalism myself and began writing for various magazines and newspapers during the rest of the 90s.
Favorite charity?
My favorite charity. If I had to pick.
You don't have to. You can always skip a question if you want to. Not just this one. You can skip any one.
I should say Stop Foodborne Illness, but for a long time, anything to do with veterans and veterans' families has been a charity of choice in my book.
Favorite meal?
I'm a sucker for pizza.
You eat fast food? Well, I guess you just answered that one.
Well, just because I eat pizza doesn't mean I eat fast food. I can't say I've never eaten fast food in the last 21 years. I guarantee I don't eat hamburgers. I don't eat very much beef at all. I definitely don't eat ground beef. I definitely don't eat it at Jack in the Box. My son had never eaten a hamburger in his life. He'd never eaten.
This was his first one?
I'm sorry?
Was his first one?
No, he didn't. He never ate a hamburger in his life. He got sick from another child in his daycare. In fact, ask me that question so I don't have to go on for a gazillion words. How did he get sick?
Okay. How did he get sick?
At his daycare, he came into contact with another kid who was sick with E. coli. And here's where the story gets tragic, if it wasn't tragic enough already. This other kid, and I have no ill will against a young child, his mother fed him a hamburger that got him sick. What's of note is that the mother was the assistant manager at Jack in the Box. Father was a shift supervisor at Jack in the Box. She cooked it to a temperature below the state-regulated temperature. If she had cooked it, if any of the Jack in the Boxes had cooked the temperature to the correct regulated temperature, no one would have gotten sick. She cooked a hamburger for herself and for her 18-month-old son. They both got sick, went to the doctor. The mother took the son to the doctor. But the test took 48 hours to come back with results. During that time, she spent 2 days waiting for the results. Guess what she did?
I don't know.
Put her child into daycare, not telling them that he was sick with E. coli, so that she could go back to flipping burgers while sick herself with E. coli at Jack in the Box. So when we talk about things like paid medical leave or paid sick leave, excuse me, when we talk about things like hand washing, like not putting a child into school or daycare if they're sick, things of that nature, there are consequences. And unfortunately, my son Riley, at 16 months of age, was a casualty of those consequences about things such as personal health and hygiene, sick leave, um, knowing enough about what you do at your work in terms of she should have known better as assistant manager to do some of those things, especially working at Jack in the Box during the outbreak.
Yeah, I hear you.
So later I became a teacher. Go ahead, ask me, what did I do? What was my largest career between now and then?
What was your? Go ahead, answer your question, please.
Um, back 21 years ago, there was no such thing as a job in food safety. There was no pathway. There was no career trajectory. There were no university programs. Um, I decided to become a teacher, and for 15 years, I was a high school math and science teacher and a history teacher as well. I also spent 5 years as an adjunct faculty at a community college before I moved from the Seattle area. But while I was teaching, two things. One is I was very mindful of the fact that at some point my students were the age that my son would have been. When you did the math, you realize that I'm staring at a class full of kids that were the same exact age if I was looking at my own kid. Two, I started viewing them not only as potential workers in the food service industry, but as future customers, as future consumers, and even as future parents. And I didn't think I'd be able to live with myself if I did not at least take whatever opportunity I could to make sure that they knew about food safety and they knew about the consequences of, for instance, not washing your hands or of going to work or school while you're sick, and that they understood that everyone has a role to play in our society, big and small, and you don't necessarily know how you're going to get enlisted into that kind of a service. Um, so education to me, a foundational understanding of things, it was very important as a teacher going forward.
Okay. Tell me, what don't people understand? Pick something.
People do not understand that foodborne illness is still a thing. They may read about it in the news. They may think of it as that was there or that was then. But 1 in 6 Americans every year get sick from foodborne illness. Approximately 130,000 people are hospitalized every year due to foodborne pathogens.
Sorry, 130,000?
130,000 Americans every year, on average, end up in the hospital because of foodborne pathogens. And this is what's really scary. Estimated numbers are that 8 people in America die every day due to foodborne illness.
And they don't, that's an estimate, they don't know because sometimes it's not diagnosed.
It's not diagnosed properly or it's not reported. So they do these sampling kind of things to kind of get those numbers. The numbers are a lot better now than they were, say, 20 years ago in terms of the accuracy, the how close they are to the real numbers. But it's impossible in terms of what is and what's not reported to get those numbers. When you do the math, though, 8 people a day is about 3,000 Americans a year, and that's been actually kind of consistent for the last 20 years. 20 years of 3,000 people. That's 60,000 people, an estimated number. 60,000 people in America have died because of foodborne illnesses since my son died. And we can talk about statistics and numbers, but in reality, to me, and to a lot of the families I talk about, to me and to a lot of the families I talk with, the only number that matters is one. No one ever thought of, no one ever prepared for, no one ever wished for that one child to get that sick and to die.
Tell me an impediment to change.
Education. Education is a major impediment to change here. When I talk with the industry, they assume that public schools teach students about food safety and hand washing, and that's not true. People assume, the industry assumes that things are done in the home, and that's not necessarily true everywhere. But there's also assumptions from consumers and families. The American consumer assumes that food employees are trained and inspected and observed and managed in terms of food safety, and that's not even necessarily true there. There are certifications. ServSafe certification is a very important certification for those in the food industry, but not every person is ServSafe certified, and it doesn't even have any consistency from county to county or state to state. Some places just have to have one person on staff or one person on hand that is ServSafe certified, whereas a lot of people just assume that everyone is certified in terms of food safety. And why on earth people are working in the food industry and not trained and certified in terms of basic food safety, I have no idea.
I just want to make sure about that. This is a program called ServSafe, S-E-R-V-E, second word S-A-F-E.
There's actually no E after, so it's S-E-R-V safe.
No space, or is there?
It's S-E-R-V-S-A-F-E.
Okay.
One word, no E in the middle.
I get it. I'll look it up. Okay, to be sure, but I think I understand. All right. Tell me, this is your chance to shine this meager spotlight. It's not like millions are watching us right now. They'll be doing that later. Kind of making fun of myself there, I hope you don't mind. You're to shine this meager spotlight on someone else. Someone who deserves more attention for what they do. Someone outside your family.
I think the American school teacher deserves more appreciation than they get.
Okay. What's a common threat that we face? Perhaps that you haven't mentioned already.
A common threat that we face. The improper decisions made by people who do not have all the information they need to truly make a decision. People making decisions based on inadequate level of knowledge.
Are we going to overcome that problem?
Probably not. Therefore, I think we need to go forth thinking that the best person to be responsible for us and for our families is ourselves. If we continue to put blind faith in others at all times, then we find ourselves feeling sorely mistaken.
When I say the word rewarding, you say?
Validating.
Okay. When I say annoying, you say?
Ignorance.
When I say sustainability, you say?
Forward thinking.
Okay. Sustainability as an issue, planetary or personal?
I think it has to be a personal issue. Again, if we go on the assumption that we can rely on others to do things that are necessary, then we will find ourselves sorely mistaken.
What means something that sustains you?
Something that sustains me. I am sustained by the fact that I have been surrounded by some very supportive people who have helped me to be successful. And by successful, my level of success has been measured in terms of how many people I have an influence or an impact or an impression on when it comes to education, not solely limited to food safety, but as an educator and as a person who works with food safety, I've had a lot of great support networks and people who have supported me to do this work, both financially and emotionally.
Please complete the sentence. I would like to be more
Athletic.
I need to be more patient around
My cat.
when I want entertainment, I
Put on the bat cape and run around town.
serves me right for asking, I guess. What question I should have asked you?
Question you should have asked me. What is the craziest thing I've ever done?
Okay. What's the craziest thing you've ever done?
Talk on a video chat over Google Plus? No. I sang karaoke on a stage in Las Vegas once.
Were you signed to a contract immediately?
No, it was not.
Okay. What's the one thing you wish everybody would just get right?
Say that again?
The one thing you wish everybody would just get right.
Believing in themselves, that they have value and can make a difference, and not only can be, but are important role models in other people's lives. They might not know it, but they are.
Okay, so that's the last question.
All right.
I will, in this case, I will go back and listen to the tape to fill in all those places where I could not keep up with your answers. They were great answers. I appreciate your time very much. Very interesting. So I will go back and I will restore the transcript, and then I will start taking it apart according to whatever editing instincts I have. And as I said earlier, you'll get to see exactly what I propose to publish before I publish the printed version. And once I have you think that I've edited accurately, then I will publish that. This will be on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, which is Fat Boy Thin Man, or maybe Michael Prager. I'm not sure. I tried to change it, and it's unclear to me if I have two now or if I succeeded in renaming it. Regardless, anybody you want to send to it, like tonight, your girlfriend or whatever, it should be there immediately, and then I will publish this on my blog by this time tomorrow, and the printed version, the text version, depending on how long it takes us to hook up by email with the changes. That'll be posted in about a week.
Okay. Can Stop Foodborne Illness?
Go. You want to give the address or anything like that?
Sure. Can I do that? Is it too late to do that?
No, we're still talking.
Can you see this here?
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yes, I do see that. Now I
All
can.
right. So I'm Senior Policy Coordinator with Stop Foodborne Illness. We are at stopfoodborneillness.org. In fact, here we go. Here's our... There you go.
Excellent. Excellent. Good. So if anybody's interested, they know how to find you.
I have... Would you be interested in like a photo of my son? Or is that
Sure.
like...
Yes,
do that?
I would. And I will figure out how to get that in.
Well, if you... I know we're live now, but I could just grab it and hold it to my camera here.
I will put it on the blog post, and I will put it on the...
I will email it to you then.
Yeah, email it to me.
I'll do that.
All right. Darin?
So on our Facebook here, when you're done and you're ready to go, can I link to your
Of course.
final thing on our Facebook page?
Yep, absolutely.
All right, I'll do that.
I'll send you the URL when I have it.
Great. Well, thank you very much. And on a personal note, I'm going to have to email you to figure out how you did this. I'd like to see if I could try to do this.
Yeah, it's so simple that even I can, which means so can you.
All right. Well, look, you have a good day, and it was great talking with you. I hope I got you the answers you were looking for.
Excellent.
And, I will email you. I'll email you the
picture.
the photo.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.